there it is. 1,500 pounds of soon-to-have electricity at the property. So now I got to work on renting the trencher again and calculating when I'll be heading up to get it done. So anyway, talk to you later. So here we are. I just drove up from Atlanta with this guy. This is and that's my trailer. This is a 1,500 foot roll of 2.5 inch HDPE electrically rated conduit for the electricity. It already has a pull tape in it, which is nice because then I don't have to worry about trying to put that in. It's already installed, but this is basically the same thing that we used for the water, only I believe it's a little bit thicker. It is electrically rated, which means you can put electrical or data lines or whatever in it, and it's 2.5 inch instead of 2 inch, so it's bigger than what we had for the water. So I'm getting ready to head down this way, and I called our VEC engineer. VEC is the company that we are getting our electricity from here, and just wanted to verify some things on the pole and that kind of thing. So when I called and I spoke to the engineer, he says, well, I'm kind of glad that you called. I hate to have to tell you this, but some things are going on. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? And he says, well, they were notified to no longer install any ground transformers. He said that they are out of ground transformers. They cannot get any ground transformers. And what he was told was a 54-week lead time on ground transformers. So I'm figuring that either the transformers or the parts, one, are sitting somewhere, I can't get this camera adjusted right, are sitting somewhere on a cargo ship in California. But anyway, that's here nor there. Bottom line is we can't get a transformer. So we're faced with the possibility that it may be months before we can get a ground transformer. We start throwing out options and trying to figure out a way to make this happen, because we need to get this done so we can get the camper over here, so we can get moved up here. Can't sell our house in Atlanta until we do that. So told the engineer, it's like, well, you know, I have a hard time stroking a check to you guys for this whole amount. I'm up here installing the conduit. I can't get the boxes that they provide until I stroke the check. But I stroke the check, and then it might be months. They don't even know until they get ground transformers. After deliberating, me and Tony, and talking to the engineer, we talked to him again today before I left to come up here, because we were considering just not doing this until we knew what time frame it was and all that. Anyway, apparently the option that's being seriously considered by the higher ups at VEC is to basically put in a pole and a pole transformer where the underground transformer would normally be, and then whenever they're able to get ground transformers again at some point in the future, they'll come out and swap it out for what is supposed to be there, which is a viable solution to us. They have poles and they have pole transformers, so they can do that. It's just a matter of their higher ups making the decision that, okay, yeah, this is what we're going to do. We decided to let's go ahead and put the conduit in the ground. he is somewhat certain that that's the way they're going to go, although he can't guarantee it at this moment. So here we are, getting ready to do that, trench and put this stuff in. Now this stuff was a whole other story. We have to provide the conduit for the electric line, and the conduit that they require is 2.5 inch rigid PVC. Well, 2.5 inch rigid PVC is practically unavailable anywhere, and the places that do have it have jacked the prices way up. We're talking a 10-foot length, 10-foot stick. When I first started pricing a couple weeks ago was between 50 and 55 bucks a stick. Yes, a stick. It actually, in this last week when I was checking and shopping, some places it had gone up to $70, $75 a stick. Now, to put that in perspective, that's a 10-foot stick. We need 1,000 feet, so that's 100 sticks. So at $50 to $70 a stick, you're looking at $5,000 to $7,000 just for conduit. It doesn't count the radial turns, which are even more expensive and even less available, and we needed about 10 of those. So talked to VEC about alternatives, and they said, well, give us ideas, tell us what you have in mind. We'd really like to see samples. But anyway, after going through a whole series of different things, liquid tight, HDPE, which by the way, this stuff is a short supply right now too. We just managed to find it, luckily, and enough. But it's much cheaper than the stick PVC. And so talked to the guys at VEC. They said, yes, we can use this. This is good. Verified it a couple of times before I bought it. And then as soon as I knew that it was for sure good to go, so ran and got it. Got it loaded on the trailer, and then I had to go buy some special chains and stuff like this because I was told DOT would stop me if I didn't have chains through the center of it if I'm transporting state to state. So anyway, went through all this, got this stuff. Got the transformer issue solved, we hope, we think, supposedly, we'll see. So this weekend I will be trenching and dropping this in to the trench, and they gave me permission to not put the boxes in at this point. Basically junction boxes that they provide that has to be every 300 feet because their equipment, they can only feed 300 feet at a time. So they gave me permission to just stub it out. Basically, conduit will stick out of the ground, and then it'll stick out of the ground like this. And then once we know for sure we got the transformers, we'll pay them their money and get our boxes. And at that point, you can come back and put the boxes in. So that worked out. The logic behind that was, if we're going to pay them a big chunk of money to do all this in advance to get those boxes, but then they don't have transformers and can't get us power for months down the road, then we need to not tie up that cash flow on this and instead keep it back to do solar generator, what we need to actually be able to move in over here. But they've assured us, so we're comfortable enough to go ahead and do what we need to do. So this weekend, I'm putting in conduit, and then they got to come out and inspect the trenches once the conduit's in, and then covering the conduit back up, and then we're just waiting on a transformer. And once we get the transformer, we'll get our boxes and we'll put the boxes in, and they'll come pull the cable through the conduit and get us hooked up. So that's where we are. So right now I'm going to start measuring and pulling string and seeing where I'm going to run this stuff. So I'm going to probably flip over to time lapse at this point. Talk to you later. Good morning. I'm getting ready to head to the, actually I'm going to get gas. Then I'm going to head to the property and finish trenching for the electric line, or hopefully finish. Today I get the pleasure of getting to the hard part, which is the part in the woods going up the hill with the vein of rock and all that. So it's going to be interesting. Got to get around the spring and the slough and all that. So we'll see how the day goes. Hoping that I get it done today so that I can return the trencher tomorrow. Otherwise I got to pay for another day of trencher, and I really don't want to do that. I've tried about 3 different ways to come out of this and around this rock, but apparently, because I keep hitting it, I guess the next plan, which will take longer, is back to plan C. I'm going to connect somewhere here off of this and keep going straight down. Of course, I got to clear all this debris out of here. And that'll still get me where I need to go. Or I could continue down this way, but this is definitely where we run into rocks. I can see them, and I drove a piece of rebar in right here in between and was hitting rock at 1 foot down. So alright, that's it. I'm done. You see what I'm hitting, and it just doesn't seem to be getting any better. No matter what angle I take on it, I'm still in the rock, and I can't tear up this ditch witch. I'm going to try one more thing. I'm going to come down at a slightly different angle, because it looks and feels like dirt right up in through there, and I might be able to skirt out of it. I'm going to try that. If that don't work, then I'm going to go to plan C, which means coming up here, or maybe even in here. No, I got problems with rocks in here, so no, I'm not going here. I'm going to go up there where it's clear, and then I'm going to skirt out this way, and I'm going to have to deal with that tree and something, and just keep running it up that way, because I am not going to keep standing here beating my head against the wall. So we'll see what happens. I have to call and arrange for a mini excavator and a jackhammer. I'm going to get a hydraulic jackhammer to go on the mini excavator, because we got probably 30 feet of rock and boulder that we got to punch through, and I am not going to do that by hand with the little electric job. I'm not going to do it. Can't do it. Alright, here comes the Mini X. It nauseates me to know that we're having to go to the heavy equipment for this little section that I have to get done here. But here we go. Okay, so here's what's going on. This will give you a good idea. We're running into some of the shale and bedrock and various types of stone. That'll give you an idea of the size. Put your foot back on there, please. There's Chandler's foot.
That's the size of the bucket.
Yeah, it is. It's the size of the bucket. But we managed to get most of the way a couple of feet and had to go over top of the boulders. You see all these pieces. Some of them, there's a couple over in there that are bigger than that.
Yeah, they're buried.
So, you know, if I'm careful when we backfill, I can pull some of this out and it'll make a beautiful floor or patio, or maybe we'll, for all this heartache and trouble, maybe we'll get some pretty decorative stuff out of it. Who knows? So now the next thing will be to get in here with the jackhammer and jackhammer them out. So the insanity continues. And after a couple hours delay, because we couldn't get one of the hydraulic hoses to connect, the connection was burred. So Chandler's dad came out with a file, filed the burrs off, and the sucker connected right away. Literally took 5-10 minutes once he got here with the file to fix the problem, but there we have it. All right, so we got the jackhammering done finally, after all the hassles and delays and problems. So Chandler's gone to take the jackhammer back to the rental place. So while he's gone, I am going to do my first time on the mini excavator, or at least I'm going to try. So I'm going to put this sucker on time lapse. I'm going to set it over here out of the way. No laughing. Yeah. So time lapse, no laughing. Here we go. All right, so here's the top. Where I've trenched.